Good evening from the Etihad, where Manchester City have absolutely destroyed Real Madrid this evening. 4-0 winners in the Champions League semi-final second leg. A breathtaking performance from Pep Guardiola's team, as well as City have played this season, possibly as well as they've ever played under Guardiola, especially the first 45 minutes. Just absolutely stunning display. You might be able to see behind me that the big screen at the Etihad is still saying thank you at the moment. That's a message to the supporters, City fans, fantastic tonight. But I think every supporter leaving here tonight was saying, no, Manchester City, thank you, because it really was a joy to witness some of that football. A lot of talk pre-match about not really knowing what to expect, and I think there was a couple of options really. There was the possibility that if Real were going to win, it was going to be very tight, and it was probably going to be extra time or penalties. City could maybe do the same. The only team that was going to win if it was a one-sided game was City, and that's the way it proved. 4-0, I think, beyond anyone's wildest dreams, but they were more than good value for that 4-0. It could have been a lot more. They've started big games here this season really quickly, and they started quickly again. They were good in the first 10 minutes. For the next 35 minutes in the second half, they were sensational. I would need to see the game back, but I reckon there's about a 15-minute spell in that first half where Real just did not get out of their own half. And this is Real Madrid, 11 Champions League semi-finals in 13 years. 29 winners' medals in that squad. City have got one winners' medal in Scott Carson, their third choice keeper, but the experience counted for nothing. It was just a phenomenal display, and the intensity in City's first half was what really caught the eye. There was intense, it was brave, it was bold, and there was just so much quality in there as well. They'd missed a few chances. The one concern after 20-21 minutes was that they were missing chances, and they needed to, at that point you still thought this was maybe a spell in the game, and they needed to get their goal and get ahead and kind of score when on top. But it turned out they were on top for basically the entire game, and the goal came midway through the first half. A well-worked goal, a brilliant through ball from De Bruyne to Bernardo, and Bernardo gave Courtois the eyes and finished nicely. And City needed that just to kind of dispel the myth of Courtois as well. He'd already made a couple of saves. One save from Erling Haaland's header when he was going in the opposite direction, somehow got back and tipped it round the post. It was a world-class save. You won't see a better save than that. It was absolutely phenomenal, and Real needed him in the end. He probably made 3 or 4 brilliant saves, Courtois, and City still scored 4. It was 2-0 by half-time. Bernardo again, a really nicely worked goal, a little reverse ball from Grealish into Gundogan. Courtois made the save with his legs, and the ball looped up, and wasn't an easy header from Bernardo, but he placed it and looped it into that top corner brilliantly. And at 2-0 at half-time, you felt like it was over, but you never say never with Real Madrid. But City had 72% possession, 13 shots to 1, and it was just a brilliant performance. It was only a few weeks ago that Guardiola was saying perfection doesn't exist in football, but if you're ever going to see it, it was that 45 minutes, and it did feel like they had killed the game. Real had a bright spell at the start of the second half, you would say. They weren't, you wouldn't say they were in the game, they weren't really threatening City's goal, but they were at least putting up a fight. But City kept them at arm's length. I mean, just going to say defenders were good. To a man, they were brilliant tonight. The whole team was brilliant. But the defenders were solid, all won their individual duels. Walker against Vinicius, a word for Walker, an absolutely brilliant performance. The pace in the first half, particularly, to get a recovery tackle in when Vinicius was ahead of him and in on goal against Ederson, and from nowhere Walker got back. There's not many players in world football who would get back in that position against Vinicius, but Kyle Walker was one of them. Controlled him second half as well, a really good performance from him. And the third goal did eventually come and just kill the tie off. De Bruyne, who looked exhausted at that point, this was just over 15 minutes to go maybe, he looked absolutely shattered. He was having a bit of an intense conversation with Guardiola at the time, just before the free kick was taken, about whether he could continue by the looks of it, because his hands were on his knees and he was gasping for air, but whipped the free kick in. Looked like Akanji got a touch, but went in off Eder Militao, so an own goal, 3-0, that was job done. City were coasting by them. The fourth came, 2 subs combining Foden into Alvarez, and Alvarez finished 4-0 in a Champions League semi-final against Real Madrid. That is as good as it gets, really, and like I say, City total value for it, and essentially now this team are 3 games away from winning the treble. In a season where, for probably 60% or more of it, we've talked about City not being at their best, about something missing. You know, it's not that long since Guardiola's Happy Flowers rant, and here we are, and they're 3 games away from the treble. The league is essentially won. I think they'll win it this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal lost at Forest, but I think City will certainly beat Chelsea. The FA Cup final, Manchester derby, that they should win it on this form, and then now at Dayton, Istanbul on June the 10th against Inter Milan. So 3 games from the treble, 3 games from history for this side. Guardiola reluctantly getting into a bit of treble talk in his press conference, but like we say, he can't really avoid it tonight. And on this evidence, City are on track for it, because this was spellbinding. They say that Real Madrid are never dead in the Champions League, but at the Etihad tonight they were never alive. It was stunning from minute 1 for City, and on this evidence they're going to take some stock in this.